When I was a kid, 10 years old, my brother would look at me and he'd say, one day they're going to take away all the cash. There's going to be no cash. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he's like, everything's going to be on cards. And I was like, what are you talking about? And literally 20 years later, he seems like he is so right. I just want to play this clip. This Sagar guy, I don't think he's wearing a tinfoil hat all the time. He's not Alex Jones or anything, but he definitely has a tinfoil hat inside of his closet. This clip is about him pretty much bringing up a social credit system. I don't know if you know what that is. It's something that China kind of works on, and it's looming its head in the West, and it's very, very dangerous. Let's get into it.
He cultivated this image with the media and was able to hold up this scheme for as long as he did.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Like you were talking, I don't know. On the one hand, I'm a lot more. I guess I'm more sympathetic to the original idea of Bitcoin. Like when we think, and to be fair, Bitcoin is very different than a lot of these other shit coins that are out there in terms of the invention by the invention of this mysterious man, and then it has a limited number of supply. The original selling point of it as a hedge against inflation, and also where I thought it was the most important was the idea of being able to get around sanctions, regulation, people being able to censor you. Where a lot of that came apart, though, and this was scary, was, if you remember, right before Ukraine, what was one of the biggest stories in the country? Canada and the Canadian freedom protesters, and how the Canadian government was seizing their banks. And then what was even crazier is they were actually seizing their Bitcoin. So it actually showed us one of the big choke points in crypto. I have some friends who work in the industry, and I haven't really gotten a good answer on this, which is, to be able to seize Bitcoin, it's because a lot of it was sent on the platforms, which are itself regulated. So, for example, Coinbase is still subject in the United States to U.S. regulation. In Canada, similarly. So the idea of the censorship-free money, it's possible if you know how to do it. I barely know how to do it. I'm not.
Wait a minute. So the government of Canada went into Coinbase and extracted Bitcoin?
I'm not going to say it was Coinbase necessarily, but they were. Jamie, I'm sure you can find this. It was Canadian government seizes cryptocurrency sent by U.S. citizens to the actual Canadian freedom protesters.
Oh, okay.
And that.
I actually know the answer to this. I don't like to interrupt clips, but I know the answer to this. Basically, when you're at these exchanges, when you're using these exchanges, you have to give your ID. It's called KYC. They force you to give either, license, passport, just identification. You're in the system. So when you donated to this freedom rally, when you actually donated, even if you had most of your funds in crypto, so you pay with PayPal or you donate any way you can, when they figure out who you are, because you use that method of payment, whether it be credit card, whatever is attached to your identity, they then froze your bank account and froze your crypto account because both were linked to who you are. Now, the way around that is if you have something called MetaMask. Now, I don't know if you know what MetaMask is, but it's a wallet, right? So it's a wallet that you could just basically have on your phone. You could just have it. You could have it on your computer. You could have as many MetaMask wallets as you want. You could have 50. They're not connected to your name at all. They're just random numbers. You have a code. It's like a series of words. You put that series of words in, you put a password in, whatever, what have you, and you have access to your funds. You can transfer that to somebody else. You can transfer that to another place. You could literally be in one country, put all of your money into this MetaMask, leave that country, access your MetaMask, all your funds are there, transfer it to whatever bank account you see fit. So that's what was happening. So everything got frozen, all crypto got frozen, all funds got frozen, and that happened whether you donated $1,000 to this freedom rally or you donated $1. It was absolutely insane. I've never seen anything like it. I was gonna donate, I didn't, thankfully, but yeah, I won't go past that. But yeah, that's the answer to that. Let's go back to the clip. Sorry about that.
That was one of the problems, was that because some of that was on the exchanges, which are subject to regulation, it's the same thing as if I were trying to wire them money to a prohibited group in Canada. But you were looking at that and you're like, man, that level of censorship resistance, which I still really believe in. Like, we got to have something, in terms of, there's a current lot of pressure right now for the Fed and for the United States to create like a centralized digital currency, and even, essentially cashless. We basically live in a quasi-cashless society right now. If you think about China, one of the ways that they're able to implement their social credit score system is everything is within the WeChat app over there, and Alipay. It's all integrated, not only for your social credit score system, your Uber, all of that is there, and you tap to pay. Well, that's great for convenience. It's also, if you piss off the government, like, you can't pay for anything anymore. You can't get a bus ticket. You can't get all that. So I don't know what the
problem is when you have the wild, wild west. The people who are going to rise to the top it's not an accident that you end up with like psychopathic charlatans like SBF at the top of this thing.
I love that they call SBF psychopathic. That's amazing. But yeah, that was a terrifying thing in Canada. It really likened us to China. And, no offense to anybody who's Chinese, but the government, you don't want to be likened to China. You just don't. So yeah, that was a wild thing that happened. And I like to always go past what is said. So when he talks about how everything is connected to WeChat, and that's how they implemented the social credit system, if you look at our society, a good question to ask or a good thing to look out for would be, do you see things all coming to a head in that same way? And when I say coming to a head, I mean, do you see things merging together? Like, WeChat has everything on it. It's your Uber, like he said. It's credit card. It's bank. It's this. It's bus. Everything. Ticket. Everything. Everything that any time you need to make a transaction, you do it with WeChat. If you need to send a friend money, it's with WeChat. If somebody's giving you money, it's WeChat. It's everything. So do we see anything like that happening in our society right now? And I think, slowly you kind of see stuff like that. Like, look at Meta. Meta was Facebook. Then Instagram popped up. It absorbed Instagram. Then WhatsApp was around. It absorbed WhatsApp. But I don't really see anything else like that happening. But we are getting the option to pay with our phones quite a bit. Like Apple Pay, you can transport or transfer your debit card on to your phone. You can do credit cards onto your phone. I think that's a little iffy. So I think we're not quite there, but if you really look and, stay cognizant of it, you can see that could happen to us very, very easily. And that's something to be aware of. And that's why I chose this clip. I'm out.